All right, so this is what we're looking at. They have added the tornado possible tag to this warning. So that essentially means that a tornado is possible with this system, but it's not happening right now. So something we'll keep an eye on as it rolls on through the area. Really downstream is what we're keeping an eye on, because right now there's no current rotation, but it could rotate here in just a bit based on the current conditions. So we'll get a zoom in. We'll look at who's downstream of this. Right now it is passing over into Harrisonburg right now, about to cross over 81. Linville, Broadway, you guys are right on the cusp of it. We move on down further south at SHD Airport on the very southern reach of it, but not in that immediate threat. Really, we're keeping an eye on this central portion, really right over Harrisonburg. Something cool we can take a look at actually is the cross section with this system. We can see how far it's reaching into the atmosphere with this storm. Zoom on out here and rotate it around. So this is a pretty good system, moving or reaching almost about 30,000 feet. So that's essentially telling us that this is a pretty strong system with a pretty strong updraft and likely putting out some of that hail. The tornado, or the thunderstorm warning does have 3/4 inch hail involved. Those 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts. We'll come back and get a nice broad view here and then zoom back into our warning here. So it's something we'll keep an eye on for sure. Again, if you're downstream looking at Shenandoah, Massanutten, it's about to cross over Route 11 as well. So this is what I was referring to earlier. The clearing that we received coming into this portion of the day, into that 4 o'clock, near the 5 o'clock hour, really enabled this system to just blow up. If you remember, just a couple of hours ago, this was a much smaller system. I bring it back, roll it back, just so you can see how fast it happens. Right there is what we saw coming onto the air. Right here, and then as we got closer and closer, it's all of a sudden seemingly ballooned up. Well, that's because we had that clearing and that sunshine was able to get that energy in and really create that that CAPE is what it's called, convective available potential energy, essentially thunderstorm food. So it's nothing too crazy to worry about right now, but with the tornado possible tag, we want to stay on air and keep you updated and make sure you're aware at what's going on. Take a look at shear tracks. There's not much to see for that. Now, what a shear track is it'll show where the most rotation is and the most probability for a tornado. We're not seeing any shear tracks right now, so I came and brought it back here. But this thunderstorm warning is for the next 25 minutes, and it's moving at about or it's moving pretty far, pretty due east right now. So again, you'll likely see it here in the next half hour or so as it crosses over 81 and 11. Further north, it's not crossing over 11. It won't cross over 11 until 10 to 15 minutes from now, but further south, it's already crossing. This is a pretty quick moving storm as this system pushes on through for the area. So something to watch out for, even if it's not a tornadic system. It has to have the tornado possible tag, even though it's not rotating right now. Something to keep in mind. Again, it's still a pretty strong system. We take a look at that warning once again. It's got those 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts, the 3/4 inch hail. So something not to play around with. I would still go ahead and jump in the safe spot, because even though this is tagged as tornado possible, which means it's not rotating right now, it means it has a history of it and could with the environment. So if you're in front of it, I would definitely go ahead and jump into your safe spot. Let's see if I can get some more locations here ahead of this thing. Of course, Massanutten, Lacey Spring, Newmarket, you all are in front of this guy as it moves on to the east. It's going to cross over Route 11 and 81 as we speak. See White House, intersections, Battle Creek, Newport, Grove Hill, all locations. I would go ahead and get near the safe spot and go ahead and get in it. Like I said, this is not a tornadic storm yet, and it has the possibility to go to it, but even still, with how strong it is, I wouldn't take any chances. And it's, again, one large storm. Once this moves through, we'll be calming down for the night. So this is something we'll keep an eye on as it moves through. It's pretty much we have to get through this and we will be good to go. Some more places that we're keeping an eye on here: Rileyville, Springfield, Alpine, Hawkinstown, Mount Jackson for sure, Quicksburg, some of our bigger spots, of course, some of our smaller spots, Zerke, Zinda. Zerke is just south of Linville, so y'all are still in that as well, still in that storm as it passes through. Places like Singer's Glen, Turleytown, Clover Hill, Audubon, y'all are good to go. The storm has passed you guys, and you are good to come out of your safe spots if you were there in the first place. Hinton, Briary Branch, further out west, you guys are good to go. Again, this thunderstorm warning expires in 23 odd minutes, and right now it's tornado possible tag. So let's take a look at that velocity, and that is what will give us an indication of rotation and what it's currently doing right now. So you can see, and it's kind of tough to know what's going on here, especially if you don't understand velocity, but essentially your green is going away, your red is coming towards the radar. And when you see something combined together in what's called a couplet, you start to see the colors come together in a tight, almost circle fashion. That's when you start to see the rotation. So we don't really see it right now as this thing passes through, but it likely had some broad rotation that the National Weather Service deemed that they need to put that tag on there. So we'll go back to our radar here with the tag here with the thunderstorm warning again until 6 p.m. this evening, still bringing those small hailstones, 60-mile-an-hour gusts, and of course has the tornado possible tag on it. Some spots again downstream might not make it as far as Luray. Again, that clearing was really only up the expanse of the valley in Rockingham County up into Shenandoah County. Further west into Page County, into Luray, those clouds were a bit thicker and that sunshine wasn't getting to the ground as efficiently. So you may see the storm fall apart here in just a bit, but we'll keep an eye on it though, because this is an unpredictable environment. This is the type of environment where things can pop up out at you and kind of take you by surprise almost. So we'll definitely keep an eye on that. We'll also zoom out and get a broad picture again. Our low pressure system is right off to the west of the word Harrisonburg there, northwest of that in West Virginia. And that's what's spiraling all of this storm activity to our area. And really it's going to just really push this line on through and bring us some showers after that. But again, this is what we're looking at for the extent of our threat here. So we'll actually get back to this radar view once more. Take another look at our guy. Still looking at that thunderstorm warning as it passes through. It's already through Harrisonburg. It's a rather quick moving storm. Harrisonburg is already starting to calm down from the storm. The rain has stopped here at the station, and it'll continue to push east. If we look at our rain totals, yeah, we got almost half an inch of rain just from that one cell. So it gives you an idea of how much rain this thing puts out and how quickly. Exactly 0.44 inches to give you an exact number there. So something to keep in mind, especially if you're in a flood-prone area, areas that you know are low-lying, have poor drainage. This is the type of storm that can cause those flash flood warnings. There's a look outside right now of Harrisonburg. You can see the dark clouds. We've got the hefty showers that just came through. But again, it's not too bad as it has moved through here. Well, like I said, we'll keep an eye on it as it keeps pushing east. But the main thing with this system right now are those wind gusts and the heavy rain totals. You can see just how fast it's moved out. We went on the air for this cut-in just about 10 minutes ago or so, and you can look outside right now there, and the rain has already stopped. The rain has already calmed down in downtown Harrisonburg, and so you can see how fast this thing is moving through. So we'll take another closer look at who's downstream. Again, Massanutten, you guys are right on under the gun here for this thunderstorm warning. Athlone, excuse me. And we'll see this coming into Newmarket here pretty soon, in Alpine. So a pretty strong thunderstorm warning here warranted for this system. We'll continue to track this as it goes further and further east, and we can really start to see it move through here in just a little bit. So I'll show you what we're looking at here on our SAM monitor. Give me 1 second. Yeah, so we'll just take a look at it right here. So you can see the expanse of this as it pushes north. If we can bring me up, Scott, real quick on SAM. You can see the expanse of this storm right here, and really it just moved through Harrisonburg. Again, Harrisonburg is out of the gun, or out of yeah, you're good if you're in Harrisonburg. Linville, you're fine. Areas west of this line in the central portion of the storm, you are fine. Massanutten is under the gun right about here. Our Jay helping us draw out this track here. Hopkins Spring, McGahkeysville, Bloomer Spring, East Point. Going to be seeing the storm in the next few minutes here in the 5:45, 15-minute sort of rotation. Shenandoah, not quite that far quite yet. We'll be seeing this system move through. And again, what happened was we saw this same system move in sort of unassumingly earlier in the evening. And then we saw it really expand and explode once it hit that clearing that we talked about. You can see the broader view, still a pretty hefty looking system, but it's gotten a bit smaller as well. You've noticed it's shrunk down. It doesn't expand further south like it was into Augusta County like it was earlier this evening when the thunderstorm warning first was issued. So we will see it continue to push east, and it's moving rather fast. Again, we saw a look outside just a few minutes ago. That rain moved on through, but it's dumping a lot of rain very quickly. And what I mentioned before, we saw almost a half an inch of rain in the span of maybe 10-15 minutes, if that, as this system moved through. There's a lot of moisture in the atmosphere for this to work with. We've also got what's called a lower level jet. It's acting as someone wringing a rag out, really letting that moisture get squeezed out. So we've got the heavier portion of the storm just passed across 81. Route 81 and Route 11. Again, Massanutten, you're getting hit right now with it. It's about to cross over 31, get closer and closer to the Blue Ridge. And again, as it moves further east, it'll likely start to weaken even more, but because we had those clouds that really expanded further east into Page County and our eastern portions of Rockingham County as well. So the clearing is what really helped us get an idea of how this thing exploded. And again, we're just keeping an eye on it right now. So if we zoom back out real quick for us. Thank you. You can see that the warning has actually gotten smaller. They had it further south earlier, and now it's further north. They'll likely continue to shrink it as needed as this passes through. So again, under the gun right now, you've got Shenandoah, Luray, and you've got Luray's right on the edge of that warning, so just be wary of that. Harrisonburg, Broadway, Boise, areas west of this storm, you're good to come out of your safe spots. It's just crossing across Route 11 and 81 right now, so you'll see it move from south to north in terms of rain impact on those routes. You can see that arrow popping in there. Right there is where you'll see that gust front, those initial showers that'll be moving through here in just a bit for, like I said, Shenandoah and areas directly east of that. So this is a pretty strong system. Don't let it fool you. It may not be tornado warned at the moment, but it's still something that warrants concern. You still want to make sure you're in your safe spots. You can see how tight this system is still is. It's bringing those 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts. It's bringing 3/4 inch hail and heavy rain totals in a short amount of time. But the good news is it has shrunk down. We get this tracking further out. You've got areas like Arcton, East Point, Englewood, Catherine Furnace, Elkton, it's a big one, Fleaburg and Comertown in the next 10 to 15 minutes, or really 5 to 10 minutes rather, excuse me. We're going to take a look at our Massanutten sky cam so you can see what's happening out there. You can see the camera is shaking, the tower is shaking, shrouded in cloud cover and rain as the system moves through. Some pretty hefty showers. Again, it's not tornadic at the moment. They did put the tornado possible tag on there for this system, but it is not tornadic at the moment. So it's going to be something you still want to make sure you're keeping an eye on as it moves closer. I'd still jump in the safe spot. It is a severe thunderstorm warning at the end of the day, so it still can cause some damage and some issues for you as it rolls through. We'll come back and take a look at this. Pretty cool, and I'll move over to this side so you can actually see. So this is showing you what's happening in the atmosphere right now, how high this cloud and how high the storm is reaching. It's a pretty strong updraft, the upward motion of the system, the heart of the storm, if you will. So you can see how far it's shooting up, almost to that 30,000 mark. Remember, commercial planes fly around 30,000 feet. So it gives you an idea of how high these clouds are towering. The clouds themselves up to 40,000 feet. So quite the storm for us this evening. And again, we're just keeping an eye on it as it moves through, still kind of keeping an eye on what it's looking like for the area. So take a look at, let's go back to that Massanutten camera real quick. You can see it's likely still shrouded in and rain as this passes through. Some of our heaviest rain is moving through the area right now. I'm going to come take a look at our locations coming up next. Give me 1 second, and you can already start to see on the Mastodon camera some of those clouds clearing out and starting to dissipate as the system moves through. Again, this is a rather quick moving system. So again, Shenandoah, you are under the gun for this system as it moves closer and closer, really up 340, Grove Hill, Newport, Battle Creek. You guys are next up for this system. We're going to get a closer look here on the names. Intersections, you're definitely next up. Verbena, Elkton again. So definitely still stay in your safe spot because this is still a strong storm. But if we come back to the radar, Scott, you can see that even over the past 5 minutes or so, it's already started to shrink even more. That doesn't mean it's necessarily weaker, but the impact, the widespread impact, isn't as great, which is good. So we'll take a look, see if they've updated that warning at all. I believe it's going to be the same as what we saw earlier. Yep. So still on that tornado possible, still 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts, and that hail size still 3/4 of an inch. So I don't know if we still have that live camera out at in downtown Harrisonburg. Do we guys have that live camera? Yeah. So let's downtown Harrisonburg. Do we have a camera out there? Yeah, okay, so we're gonna pull that up. I'll show you how quickly the environment changes. But while they're pulling that back up, I will give you a few more locations to be aware of. You can see some of the heaviest rain. Give me 1 second, Scott. Even stretching as far south as Berrytown, down into down into that Elkton area, really in that whole suburban area. Furnace, Fleaburg, Comertown, I mentioned you guys earlier in Ingham. Definitely make sure you're in your safe spots. We can pull that Harrisonburg camera back up, Scott, real quick. We will get it in just a second. But again, some impressive rainfall from this system. There's definitely still that flooding threat with that. And I mean, take a look at that. You can see how quickly things change. This is our this is live right now, Harrisonburg downtown. And remember, we got on the air with this thunderstorm warning maybe 20 odd minutes ago. And just in 20 minutes, it's a completely different scene. So very, very interesting to see the difference there as we get into the backside of this storm. So take a look back here at the radar. We'll keep an eye on it as it continues to push. Thank you, Scott. And as we were talking about, they just shrank that warning. So we'll see if they've modified it. It's still a tornado possible warning. Still watching for those 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts, and of course that those 3/4 inch hail. It's still only until Friday this evening at 6 p.m. So that's a good sign. They are likely thinking that in the next 10 to 15 minutes it's likely to continue to weaken, unless they decide to extend the warning into the next hour. So that's something we'll keep an eye on. But as it extends into the next hour, this storm will also likely be out of our viewing area, which is a good thing. So we'll keep an eye on this as it continues to push on. It's taking some weird shapes. We can also see how much it's shrunk in the past 5 to 10 minutes. Again, they shrank that warning as it moves. They move how it moves. They move as it moves. Excuse me. For this storm. And that's what they do for every storm. So let's take a look at that velocity one more time and show you what the winds are doing out there. And so nothing quite impressive on that velocity. And if there was a couplet, I'd be able to show you what's called a rotational couplet. It's a lot of green, reds, and pinks. You're really looking at the greens and reds. But for the most part, again, there's no rotation based on these velocity scans. That doesn't mean it can't happen, but that means there's just not any rotation at the current time being for us. So we'll take another broad view. We'll zoom on out. You can see the broad scope of this system. Very, very large rotating system. If we'll jump back on Sam real quick, Scott, I'll show you where the low pressure is on this. You can see that it's right in here in this little area at the end of the radar scan moving out of West Virginia. And this is where it's spinning off the arms of convective storms. And so you can see that we're getting our fair share further south. They're getting their fair share as well. This storm further south actually had a history of tornado warnings. That was not in our area. This one did not have a history of tornado warnings, but due to the nature of the system, they wanted to go ahead and warn. This will continue to push east. And again, we're watching for the rain on the backside as well. It's not going to be as impactful as what we initially were looking at, which is a good sign. It's good. We've got dry air fighting its way in and trying to help save the day. But we'll have some of those spotty showers on the backside of this as it rotates through. We'll get a nice zoom in here once again at the thunderstorm warning, and you can see the evolution of this thing over the past hour or so, how it really exploded coming out of West Virginia and then started to shrink back once again after it got through the clearing and it got through its area of favorable development. So we kind of go back to here and look at that. We've got ourselves a tornado warning for the northern portion of the storm. So I'll come back over here and give you some details on that. Yep, so Luray, you guys are under the gun for that, and I was looking in the southern portion of the storm. So this is a tornado warning they just now issued for that's Shenandoah County into Page County, southern Shenandoah County into northern Page County, excuse me. Yeah, so we will keep an eye on this portion of the storm specifically. Let's actually look at the rotation on that, see if we can see that couplet and see if we can see exactly where it is. I'm going to come back over here because that'll give us an idea of where the specific rotation is. And I'm thinking it's in... Kind of hard to see with this radar scan just because we're in a bit of a radar hole, but it looks like it's in your just east of New Market area. Looking at that guy right there. It can be hard to tell in these areas where there's not as much radar coverage, but we'll kind of go back here to our severe warning here, right here, so we can keep an eye on it. So if you're in this polygon here, definitely head to your safe spot. New Market, so New Market, Luray areas, really in between those. White House, Leakesville intersections, let's say Alpine as well. You want to go ahead and get in your safe spot. Woodland Park, that suburb out there, or the park out there, that area. You're going to want to go ahead and get into your safe spot as the system moves through. It looks like it's going to want to tighten up here, so we'll keep an eye on it as it pushes. It's honestly moving really right along 211. This warning follows Route 211, so anywhere along Route 211, if you're out in that area, definitely get to your safe spot for this system. Let's see if we can get some more names of places here. Yep, so definitely stay in the safe spot until we give the all clear. This storm is pretty fast moving. It's fast moving, but it evolves quickly as well. So things can change really quickly as well. Something to keep in mind that you don't want to play around with these. Like I said earlier in the broadcast, when you've got these severe thunderstorm warnings, especially with a tornado possible tag, you're going to want to get in your safe space and you're going to want to treat them as if a tornado is imminent, even if it's not. So in this case, there was a tornado that was imminent. They saw the rotation needed for it to be issued, for the warning to be issued into these next few minutes here. The warning is supposed to expire in about 15 or so minutes, in about half an hour. So it's supposed to expire in about half an hour, 6:30, and that's really goes all the way through Page County into the outer reaches of our viewing area towards Washington, not DC, but Washington, Virginia, here in the next few minutes, So even if there's not a tornado on the ground, damaging wind is definitely possible. Straight line winds are definitely a possibility too, especially with a system this potent and this variable. It moves quickly and it evolves quickly as well. Downbursts and straight line winds can cause just as much damage as a tornado. So be mindful of that. Really, if you're in the path of the system at all, I would definitely get into your safe spot, especially if you're in the tornado warning, but again, for the entire warning as well. This is starting to look like it's developing a pretty sizable hail core in the southern portion of the system, south of the tornado warning. But again, the tornado warning just issued a few minutes ago, technically until 6:30. We'll watch to see if they let it expire or if they continue to work it forward into the next few minutes or next 10 to 15 minutes. Really looking ahead, of that hail core as well, looking rather impressive. That purple, that's just to the northeast of Shenandoah. That's something to keep an eye on too. Tornado warning is definitely important, but when you start to see a thick hail core develop, that's when you start to see that really strong updraft develop in a system. So areas really in front of that hail core as well. We'll jump in and see that really there's not as much development there, so it's something to keep an eye on as well. Rain rates are coming down pretty hefty right now, about an inch, 1 to 2 inches per hour. And again, that's what we saw as it pushed through. The rain right here in Harrisonburg fell almost half an inch for the 15 or so minutes that it was coming through. So make sure you watch for debris on the roads, for the system moving through, even hours after the storm moves through, because this thing is bringing some pretty hefty wind gusts. Again, 60-mile-an-hour plus wind gusts, even in the tornado warning, even if there's not a tornado on the ground. Any rotation can help to pick up some of that debris and create issues. So be wary of that even through the night. We'll likely get reports of debris here in just a bit with this system, especially with how strong it is. And like I said, that sunshine, it's really tricky, because it really makes you want to rejoice and say, hey, it's clearing up and everything. But it's quite the opposite, actually. So they've extended this thunderstorm warning for the areas further east of our viewing area. It's not a tour possible for this portion of it, which is good. It's still that severe thunderstorm warning, though. They still feel that the elements are there, the ingredients are there for this to continue to chug along and create issues. So this is still 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts for the extended version of this warning. Still 3/4 inch hail for that, but definitely still keeping an eye on this tornado warning, as it looks pretty nasty here. It's getting pretty wound up. So definitely keep in mind that even if you don't have the tornado on the ground, even if you're not in the path of this, really in the path of this entire storm that they have severe warned, I would go ahead and get in your safe spot, because straight line winds, downbursts, things like that can still cause just as much damage as a tornado, even if it doesn't touch down. So a pretty hefty rain totals again working through. I'll be excited to see how much rain we've gotten once we get off the air here, to see how much fell in such a short amount of time. The storm is moving east at 40 miles an hour, and it's moving pretty fast. That's a pretty fast rate for a storm, which kind of works it's a double-edged sword. The faster it moves, the more damage it can cause, but at the same time, when it's moving that fast, it'll push on through rather quickly, and you can go on about your evening. So definitely still keep in mind that it is still a dangerous storm. Even if you're not in a tornado warning here, it's still something to consider, especially as it pushes further east and pushes east fast. So we'll give you some more locations here. Luray, you're right under the gun for this tornado warning. Moving in, Morningstar, again, White House, Kimball, Springfield, Vaughn, all in that Luray, that 211 340 intersection there. You want to make sure you're keeping your eyes peeled and staying in your safe spot. And it's pretty easy. You can follow along 211. It stays pretty well within that warning. So if you're really along 211 and north of that area, then I would four-way Skyline Drive is going to move right across Skyline Drive. Let's see if we can get the rotation up one more time, see if we can actually see where this rotation is this time. It's not as clear, but still warrants that tornado warning, so we'll definitely keep an eye on it as we progress over the next several minutes as this thing moves through. So they did take off the tour possible warning for the majority of the storm. For this lower southern half of the storm, you're just dealing with that heavy rain and that not large hail, but hail that's coming with this system. We're still keeping an eye on, though, this tornado warning here. It looks like it's wanting to hook a little bit, but in a different direction than usual. But this is the type of thing that really warrants our first alert weather day. A lot of times it may not seem like it should be a first alert weather day, but we'll see the dynamics, we'll see the conditions, we'll see the things that can really make these storms thrive and pop off, if you will. And that's kind of why we issue these first alert weather days, to make sure you guys are safe and informed about things like this, and so that, when this happens, you're not taken by surprise and you're able to take it in stride. So again, if you're in that tornado warning polygon, just make sure you're in your safe spot. It's about to cross over, the center of the storm is about to cross over 340 here in just a few minutes. Luray, it looks like you'll be a little bit south of where they have that rotation, but still stay in your safe spot for this system. Pretty strong, regardless of if you have the tornado or not. Straight line winds, a downburst are definitely an issue. But again, you combine that with the heavy rain, it can create another issue of flooding as well. So be wary of that if you're in a low-lying, flood-prone area, somewhere that doesn't drain very well, because this is putting out a lot of rain in a hurry. We had like almost half an inch in just a matter of 10 to 15 minutes here in the Harrisonburg area. So it's a pretty strong system. So while we've got this tornado warning up, we'll take a look at our hour by hour to see if we will be seeing much more of this. This looks to be the strongest of what we'll see for the evening, but of course there will be a little bit more here in the next few hours. So this is doing a pretty good job again of picking up the model, and so we push it forward over the next few hours and we start to clear out just a bit. There's a few showers behind it in the next hour or so, and really the stronger portions of the system remain north. You could see a little bit of that dip down as well. For the most part though, we start to clear out. In terms of rain, will still remain cloudy into the overnight hours. A few more spotty showers possible overnight, and then we start to get into tomorrow's rain, which again isn't too much. We've got those spotty showers and storms on the docket for your Saturday. The wind is also going to be an issue, something we want to talk about. Wind is already picking up out there. We'll be picking up even more here in the next few hours. We'll be gusty for the evening, and then we'll start to see things calm down overnight just a bit. And then as we get into your Saturday morning, that wind picks back up. Gusty winds for the day Saturday, 20 to 30 miles an hour, 35 to 45 for the Alleghenies and higher elevation areas. The good news is that rain starts to slow down and taper off as the sun goes down, and it's no longer an issue. So let's take a look at our live radar once more. I can update that, and so we can get here on the radar, starting to curl up here. And let's see if we can actually see some shear on this now, because we have that tornado warning, and you can see, there we go, that shear track is showing you where that rotation is, where that wind shear is most favorable for the tornado developments. That's what they were looking at, seeing that area that's in blue there, that is potentially where that rotation is, and where they deemed it to be a tornado warning, something to be aware of. So definitely still stay in your safe spots if you're in that red polygon. Areas that are further west of it, you are in the clear. Newmarket, Shenandoah, Elkton, Broadway, Harrisonburg, all areas in that region, into the rest of Rockingham County as well. You're clear for the severe threat. So we're still keeping an eye on this main threat right here, this main tornado warning. Again, it's not something that you want to be afraid of, but you definitely want to make sure you're prepared. So again, if you're in this polygon, you want to make sure you're in your safe spot, because this thing is a very fast moving, very quick evolving storm. It changes rather quickly. I mean, if we roll it back just about an hour or so, you can see how quickly this became an issue. When we came on the air at about 4 o'clock, about 5 o'clock rather today, it wasn't anything more than a few storm cells. But you can see as it hit that clearing, as it got that energy, it really became an issue, and that's when they issued that thunderstorm warning about 5:35, and then you can see how it's evolved over here further east into where we are right now. So it's crazy how fast things can change like that, but that's why you have to make sure you're heeding your warnings and listening and taking that advice. So I'll give you another broad look of the system. You can see that we're in that arm bringing in those severe storms, and this is cooler air smashing into the warmer air that we have in place. And with the wind shear, the wind change with the change in direction of the wind over as you get higher and higher in the atmosphere, and the change of speed, that's where you get that rotation. Think of it like a tornado in a bottle. When you shake the water around and you really start to see that rotation build up, it creates that momentum and can create a situation like where we are right now with the tornado warning on this system. So they obviously feel, and I agree, that this is a pretty long-lasting system, and that this storm has the potential for putting down a tornado over a rather long amount of time. In the next half hour or so, especially with this warning staying until 6:30 this evening, Hail size is still an issue too. Don't think that just because there is that tornado warning there that the hail is no longer an issue. It's still coming down 3/4 of an inch, and something to definitely be aware of. The straight line winds are still an issue too with this system. This system does have a history of producing wind damage reports in central West Virginia, and that's why we're sticking with it, because the elements and the ingredients are still there for it to continue to do so. So, you want to learn your lesson. You don't want to let your neighbor's mailbox get blown down and you not pay attention to why it got blown down in the first place. So. This system is something we're continuing to track. I mean, even further south, even though it's starting to not look as impressive further south, starting to fan out just a bit, it's still strong enough to warrant you to jump in that safe space. So just outside that tornado warning further south, I'd still want my people in in Morningstar. Yeah, Morningstar. Let's see. Along Skyline Drive, if you live up there, I'd definitely jump into your safe spot. Really, Skyline Drive down to about Swift Run Gap in that area. I'd jump into your safe spot. This is moving in pretty quickly. So we're keeping an eye on this northern portion of the storm, and as it's about to cross Skyline Drive, the northern portion, the tornadic portion of the storm. So make sure you're in your safe place as it's crossing over 340. Luray, you'll be out of this pretty soon. I know it's coming down pretty hard out there, so just hang on. You'll be out of it pretty soon here as it moves through. They've just shortened the tornado warning down to 630, still the size of it rather. So they've just shortened the made the size smaller for the area of the tornado warning. It still includes much of the rest of northern Page County as it heads towards Washington area and areas east of that. They have reassigned this thunderstorm warning right here to the south as tornado possible. So it's hit another area of instability that creates that ability for it to create a tornado. So something we'll definitely keep an eye on because it's no longer just a thunderstorm warning. Again, like I said before, this is a quick moving storm, but it's also quick evolving. It's moving or changing form rather quickly as it hits more unstable environments, hits stable environments, and it's jumping back and forth. So definitely something to keep in mind. That severe thunderstorm warning with the tornado possible tag is until this evening at 6:45. They've upped the hail size on it as well, about an inch-sized hail, which is nothing to sniff at, nothing to scoff at. Definitely want to make sure you're keeping that in mind. We'll go ahead and clear that off and make sure that this is still the same. Yep, that's still the 6:30 warning for us this evening. It looks like it's definitely going to be a heavy rain based tornado as well if it were to come down. So that makes it even more dangerous. You want to make sure you're still in that safe space as the system moves through. We're getting a pretty large amount of rain with this, along with the winds, along with the tornado threat as well. And it's going to be something that we keep an eye on here over the next 5 to 10 minutes. Let me take a sip of water here. Need that. It's one of those days, you know. But we'll get through it together. Something to keep in mind here, something to look at here is starting to create that sort of hook look to it, where you've got some of those winds really moving through and could create a tornadic situation. Let's take a look at those shear tracks one more time, and that's areas where that tornado rotation is possible. You can see it's a little bit longer than it was before. Moved through Newmarket, so if there was something that touched down Newmarket, you guys would have been in that area as well, like we talked about earlier. Still moving a little bit north of Luray, it looks to be like, but I'd still stay in your safe place, Luray, as this storm moves through. I'll definitely give you the all clear once we get to that point. In fact, we can go ahead and give some all clears now. Stanley, you're behind it. I'd still stay in the safe place here in just a bit, but Shenandoah, Newmarket, you guys are all clear. Mount Jackson, you are in the all clear. Let me go over here and look at some other areas that are all clear. Of course, Massanutten, you are all clear. You're good to go. Intersections, Battle Creek, Newport, Grove Hill, White House, Leakesville. You guys are all clear. just be mindful of any debris out there, because again, even if a tornado did not touch down, this is still a system that produces some pretty strong winds and heavy rain. So still something that you want to be aware of. I mean, debris is going to come of a storm like this. So on the roads, on your homes, on in the yard and everything. So just be mindful of that when you're walking out there and checking things out. One of the biggest things I do want to also add is if you see any power lines down, do not go near them. That can be a hazard in itself. A lot of times those power lines can come down, and water is conductive. So if you've got a lot of water on the road, exposed power lines, it's going to be a bad situation for you if you walk through that. So stay away from any down power lines, down trees, things like that, just as this system moves through over the next few minutes here. We'll be seeing it move out of our area in just a bit, but we'll stay with you as it moves out of the area, and we will keep an eye on it as it does so. So again, the rotation portion of this storm looks to have passed, or looks to be passing north of Luray. You can look at that on the shear tracks here. And again, the shear shows the area where that rotation is most likely, with the wind change or the wind direction change and speed with height as you go higher in the atmosphere. So you can see the shear is moving just north of Luray, and this is a little bit behind. So we'll likely see another scan here jump up in the next few minutes that has it passing north of Luray. But it's something to still keep in mind. It helps us keep an eye on where that tornado is, especially, or that rotation is. I haven't confirmed the tornado yet, but definitely still something to keep in mind, because where the rotation is, that's where the tornado could be. And just because there's a rotation doesn't mean there's a tornado quite yet with a system. It just means you want to be in your safe place just in case it does want to drop a tornado on underneath the rotation as it moves through. So if you're riding this line, you are likely pretty safe. Stanley, I think you're good. Yeah, Stanley, you're good. Areas like Alma, I think I said Leakesville before, Egypt Bend Estates, areas in that area, yeah. Again, Grove Hill, Ingham, Culmerton, Fleaburg, Joliet, Furnace, you guys are clear as well. So keep an eye on this guy. It's a very interesting way how the storm is moving, because it's part of a low pressure system moving in from the west that's really creating a lot of chaos, if you will. It's running into the instability that was provided earlier today, and it's creating these storms. And you can see that it's really moving in rather quickly. It's a fast moving system. And like I said earlier, just in Harrisonburg, we had this same storm move through in a matter of 10 to 15 minutes, and in that time we picked up almost a half an inch of rain, which is a lot of rain to get in a short amount of time. That's sometimes what we get in a day. So again, definitely if the wind isn't an issue, if the rotation isn't an issue, the amount of rain falling is definitely something to keep in mind as well, because of how much is falling in such a short amount of time. So be wary of that. You live in any flood-prone areas, any low-lying areas, poor drainage areas, still something to keep in mind, even if you're not in this tag. I mean, if we go further north, you can see that it's still hefty rain showers, even if it's not organized into a tornadic or severe thunderstorm fashion, even into Wardensville, Woodstock, you're about to get some more here in a bit, Edinburgh, Strasbourg, about to get some in a bit. So pretty hefty rain totals here. Earlier we were getting 1 to 2 inch rainfall rates per hour, likely still seeing that in some of these stronger portions of the storm. It's definitely something to keep in mind, especially like I said, if you know your area is flood prone, you'll definitely want to have that into consideration. Luray, you'll be clear here in just about a few minutes. I want to give it just a little bit longer just to be sure, make sure you guys are good. It's actually getting towards the end of its warning, so we'll see if they extend it and see if they decide to modify the area of this thing as we pursue or continue into the next half hour or so, the next 15 minutes or so. So we've got those straight line winds are definitely an issue as well. Excuse me. We got those straight line winds are still an issue for sure here with this system. Again, even if it's not tornadic where you are, it's still an issue, still going to be seeing some pretty strong winds with this moving through. Definitely something you want to keep in mind, especially if you have areas that can really keep keep moving through as this moves through. So we've got a pretty decent hail core. Scott, if we can actually switch over to Max 2, or Matt rather, excuse me, if we can switch over to Max 2 real quick and go full screen, we can look at what this hail core looks like for this system. It's producing a lot of hail because the updraft of this is really pretty significant. You can see the areas in dark purple there, really where those hefty hail cores, really east of Luray, but also north and east of Luray, really about to cross over 340. Now we show this because it's something that's just as dangerous as, again, that tornadic threat, the severe thunderstorm warning, the straight line winds, because hail is an issue. It can be damaging, and some of this hail is likely an inch at least in size. When you have a hail core like that, it'll be likely raining hail in some of those spots. So that's really about to cross along 340. You can see Richview Road's underneath it right now, Good Mill Road, as we get across towards Vaughan Summit Road. Overall, Compton, Rileyville, right along 340, you'll be getting this hail core pretty soon. Vaughan, you're next up as well. Springfield, you're likely just to the south of this hail core as it pushes through. And then Four-Way, you're further downstream, but something to keep in mind because you know this is coming. This will cross over 340 as it is right now, but then also cross over Skyline Drive as well in Page County. So if you live along Skyline Drive in Page County, not only do you have that tornado warning along your area, but you also have the hail core headed your direction. Just be wary of that. It's not a huge actionary notice, but still want to make sure you're indoors and in your safe spot. So Matt, if we can come back to Max 1, we can take a look at this latest update to our tornado warning for the area. We'll get the query tool on that. And really, they've just modified the size and area as I was saying they likely would. The time is still 6:30 p.m. for the expiration, and they'll likely extend in area this tornado warning. They'll extend it further east with this system, especially if it's on the track that it's on right now. Luray, you guys are in the clear for the tornado warning. You can come out of your safe space along Route 340. I know I mentioned Stanley before. Areas in and around Luray, you guys are good on your safe space, or good to come out of your safe space. So Springfield is that further south of 340 as well, Marksville. And then pretty soon, will be Rileyville and Compton. They've also just changed in area the severe thunderstorm warning, finally moving it further east so that you can see it's moving along with the system as well. Still a pretty dangerous storm, so if you're in the front of it, you'll still want to make sure you're staying in your safe space, especially Washington. You're under the gun. That's going to be crossing over 522 in the next 15 to 20 minutes or so. So really next up in that warning, you've got areas like Washington, Browntown, Four-Way. Again, I mentioned Four-Way earlier. Flint Hill, which is right along 522. Smedley, you'll definitely want to make sure you're in your safe space here in just a little bit, because again, this warning will likely be extended in area. Huntley as well, Chester Gap. It's a little bit further north on Route 522, but still want to make sure you're in that safe spot just in case. This is one of those environments you don't want to play any games, and you don't want to you don't want to take any risks with this at all. So again, it's an interesting situation because even if you're not in these red polygons, you're still about to get some hefty rain as well. We move further north as well. You can see into Wardensville, other parts of Shenandoah County, Woodstock about to get hit with some pretty steady showers, some pretty heavy showers rather, and some wind as well. Definitely keep in mind that even if it's not warned, it still can sneak up on you. It still can create an issue. So Woodstock, you are about to get some really heavy rain here in just a bit. And the good news is it's quick moving, so it'll be out of the area rather quickly. So areas like Woodstock, Calvary, Morristown, Tomsbrook, Psalmsville, Alonzoville, you guys are in that area. We go further east of that. It goes towards Massanutten Mountain, or the ridge rather, as this continues to push east. Strasbourg under the gun for this specific part of the storm. Not severe warned, but still enough to warrant me to let you know you're going to get some heavy rain here in just a bit. But Edinburgh, you're safe, and you can come out of your safe spot. So I'll go ahead and start calling out some places that you can come out of your safe spot, because you can see this warning has been shrunk as this storm continues to push to the east. So really along 340 south of the Shenandoah-Page County line, you're good to come out of your safe spot. Let me see if I can get some more towns for you here. Like I said, it's a fast-moving storm, so that's good. Springfield, Rileyville, Vaughn, Kimball, you guys are good to come out of your safe spot as this thing moves through. Let's see if we can zoom in and get some more. Yep. So areas here, Wood Drive, if you live along Wood Drive, Vaughn Summit Road, Island Ford Road, you're still in the thick of it. Really, as we get further north of 340, you can see how heavy that is and where that is. Really south of that Vaughn Summit Drive, or Vaughn Summit Road, line, you can start to see things are clearing out and you are good to go. So let's see if we can find that here. So yeah, Compton, overall, you guys are good to go. And again, keeping an eye on the southern portion of the storm too, because I don't want to leave it out. Still a strong part of the storm. It's moving out of our area here, the southern portion, so we'll keep us on the air until we watch this rotation move all the way out of our area, and we watch it move on about its business towards the areas further east. But you can again see how fast this type of system can evolve on a day like this. You'll see that again. We'll go back to about 5 o'clock earlier today when we just went on the air. It didn't seem like too much of an issue. You can see that we had just a few of those cells popping up, and I even mentioned it to our anchors, like, hey, they're starting to get into some clearing and starting to get some growth on them. And that's what happens. We had that clearing during the 5:15, 5:28 time slot, and that clearing is all it takes for something like this to really explode and really move through. The thing was, we actually got a little bit better off than we could have. We didn't get as much clearing as we could have. We had a really we had some clouds shrouding some of the sunshine, but you can see that it didn't take too much clearing for this system to spin up and really start to create an issue. So let's take a look at that wind shear track one more time, show you where the rotation is headed. You can see that it's moved, just north of Luray, crossed over 340, and again headed right towards Washington over the mountain. So something to keep in mind, if you're in Washington, you're definitely under the gun along that 211, 522 intersection area. You're definitely under the gun as well. You're along Skyline Drive. You want to make sure you're in your safe spot as well. Skyline Drive is behind it now, but you still want to make sure that rotation is past your area. So definitely keeping an eye on that. Woodstock, you're about to get that hefty rain. And again, even in this line right here, just because it's not severe warned doesn't mean that it can't cause issues. So remember, I mentioned earlier your straight line winds. Sometimes you get what's called downbursts. Those can be just as destructive as tornadoes, even with the warning not on the system. So not only will you have the heavy rain to contend with, you'll have some winds and possibly straight line fashion, which can really create some damage as well. We've already had wind damage reports from this same system. It has a history of that further west into central West Virginia, and it's got a good amount of those wind reports, so we'll likely keep an eye on that. We'll be getting those reports out to you a little bit later on. So the good news is this is the most severe portion of our evening. We'll see this pass through. And really, we'll have a few more showers on the backside. Some could be quick downpours at times, but again, the more severe portion of our storm is this line right here that's moving on out of the area. And you can really see how fast this portion of the line that's warned is moving. It's actually breaking away from the northern portion of that same line, but still both are definitely dangerous. We'll get another broad view of the system here. You can see the wrapping, the twirling, if you will, we call it pinwheeling of this low pressure system that's moving through the area. So if you can pull me up on SAM real quick, just for a second, Matt. I'll show you where the low pressure system is. You've got it right here is where your low pressure center is, as it's kind of spiraling and pinwheeling this thing out of the area, or moving through the area rather. You've got your couple of arms of storms here, and you can see it's just as strong, if not stronger, further south and east of our area. So we've got our thunderstorm warning with this arm of moisture, but you can see how much dry air is behind this system as well. We'll start to see this thing dry out in just a bit. Again, a few more spotty showers, but the majority of our excitement, if you will, is right along this line here as that initial blast of cold air from this low pressure system starts to move on through the area. So we'll come back to our weather computer and take a look at that warning another time. Make sure we're keeping an eye. They've also shrunk the warning once more, as they will continue to do over the next several minutes. This is still until this evening at 6:30, and it's one of those things where you just want to keep an eye on it. So that's pushing on out rather quickly, and it still has the broad thunderstorm warning on it from earlier. That's also tornado possible, and that's how this one started. It started as a tornado possible warned storm, and then became a tornado warning. But you can see how small the warning box has gotten over the past several minutes, over the past 10 or so minutes, really up into the northern portion of 340 towards the 340. The 340 Skyline Drive, it looks like, intersection. You are good to come out of your safe spot. So Bentonville, I mentioned overall, up near, not quite to Front Royal, but still you're good to come out of your safe spots if you're out of this polygon right here. We'll go further south behind this major line of storms. Luckily, it's a lot of mountainous terrain here, so it's not as population heavy, but we know we still have people living out in those areas. So really south of 211, you're good. Ida, Mock, Cavetown, Blainville, Stony Man, you're good to come out of your safe spots. Fairview, that neighborhood, you are good to come out of your safe spot as well. Really all along and west of the mountains here, you are good to come out as this thing pushes on through the area. Joliet, Furnace, don't believe it's even as far south as that, but you guys are good to come out as well. Swift Run Gap area, you're very much good to come out. This is getting pretty tight though. This is a strong line right here. You can see how tight it's become over the past 10 or so minutes. And usually this is going to signify some strong winds, even if it's not the tornado is on the ground or rotation, you're still seeing some pretty strong winds. But we've seen some pretty strong shear tracks here, indicating some pretty strong rotation as well. And it's pulling a little bit north on this. Let's see if we can see the rotation on this, if the radar is close enough for us to be able to see that clearly. Not quite, but you can kind of see where the colors come together here in this area right here, where you're starting to get some of that rotation in that area as well as it pushes north of Washington. Now just be wary, just because you are just south of the rotation doesn't mean it won't change up on you. Doesn't mean it won't change direction and start to head in your direction. So definitely keep an eye on that warning, especially if you're in Washington. Again, that line of storms will be moving through Washington here in just a moment. It's really working its way up to 11. And we'll continue to keep an eye on it as it moves on. So we'll be wrapping here in just a minute as we watch the rest of this thing move out of our area. They've extended that tornado warning, but it will be moving out of our area, so it's no longer an issue for us here in the Shenandoah Valley. Just in case you are interested, it is for until 7 p.m., so another half hour or so. We will continue to keep you updated online as this continues to develop. Like I said, there are severe, we can come back to me, Matt. Like I said, our severe threat is mainly over for the night. We'll be seeing a few more showers for this, but mainly seeing the wind become the next thing we're looking at. Pretty gusty tomorrow, but mostly dry compared to what we saw. Just a few spotty showers, and then we're home free. A beautiful, beautiful Sunday ahead, beautiful week ahead. Can't wait to enjoy it. So with that, we will be good to go. We will keep you again updated on air online on the WHSV weather app as well.